What's going on, guys? Me Teacher in the house, and I have a question for you guys. Fall Guys or Among Us? Which one do you prefer? Which one's better? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, because I've played both of these games for a little while, and I kind of have a few thoughts about both games, some good points and negatives about both, and I kind of wanted to put them against each other, largely speaking because these games kind of came out at a similar time. They've both been taken off, they've both been pretty popular games, especially over stream-wise and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about them both, and then I'll tell you guys which one I prefer of the two at the end. So, let's start off with Fall Guys, shall we? So, let's go straight on in. Alright, so with Fall Guys, we've got a lot of interesting things to talk about here. The first thing, just to bear this in mind, I'm going to be comparing the experience on PC via Steam. The reason why is because that is how I've played both games. I'm fully aware that the points I'm going to make for the first one on both sides are going to have a different alternative, but I'm not going to consider those for the purpose of this video. So, first thing we're going to look at is Fall Guys' cost on Steam is $20, which honestly, for a game that only came out recently, is not really a finished product or anything like that, might seem like quite a lot. $20 does definitely feel like a bit of an investment. It's something that I'm not usually comfortable spending $20 on a game unless it's Pokemon, in which case I probably will buy it, but anything that I'm not sure I'm going to enjoy all that much, not too keen on spending that kind of money for, being honest with you. But in fairness to Fall Guys, it does have a lot of fun game modes to it, for the most part. Personally, sorry Falcone hosts, I know you love Hexagon, I hate it, I think it's trash, I don't like the game mode at all. It's not really all that fun to me, in all honesty. Don't really like Slime Climb all that much, mostly because I've got screwed over on it multiple times over. But yeah, there are one or two games that I'm not a huge fan of, largely speaking due to the mechanics issues and stuff like that, particularly the tail grab ones. There's a lot of issues with the grabbing mechanic in general. I really hope that gets fixed because that is a nightmare. It's not something I'm a huge fan of in general, and it is a bit of a turn off, especially if you're playing the tail grab one and you're like 4 foot away from someone and somehow they grab your tail out of nowhere. Doesn't make any sense, not sure how that works, but definitely something that could do with fixing. But for the most part, I do enjoy like the X-Scramble one a lot. I do enjoy DoorDash, even though it's a little basic and kind of a little boring. I actually don't mind that one. I can't like the Whirligig one. There's like actually quite a lot I do like. I like the Perfect Match, put your teeth in, Perfect Match ones because I like screwing my friends over that one and stuff like that. I have a lot of fun messing around with my friends on that game mode, so I'm okay with that. Next thing I want to talk about how we handle it is microtransactions. So, Fall Guys, for those who haven't played it, they have their own currency called Kudos, which you can purchase Kudos with real money if you wanted to, or you can earn it naturally just by playing the game and leveling up and stuff like that. So it's actually really interesting to me. Microtransactions are often a pretty hot topic, especially for games that actually have a price of entry. You know, Fall Guys is $20. Obviously, yes, it's free on PlayStation, but whatever. We're not talking about console here. So I actually think the microtransactions are fine. They're not really rammed down your throat all that much. You can buy coins for whatever you want, essentially, stuff like that. It's not a necessity. Plus, the microtransactions are purely cosmetic. You're not buying anything like that is game boosting for you or anything like that. So I'm actually okay with it. I think it's actually fine. I personally put a little bit in just to give a bit of support to the developers because I knew Season 2 was potentially coming, so I thought I'd give them a little bit of support. Why not? But yeah, microtransactions, I'm okay with them. I think they're perfectly ethically fine. I don't see an issue with them. I like how Fall Guys handles it. I like the local currency, and I like that it's not so in your face. However, there are some things I'm not a huge fan of about this game. The first one is the hackers. Oh man, there are so many hackers in the Fall Guys games that I've been playing recently that it is somewhat a bit of an off-putter for me, a little bit. Like every single game I've played recently has had at least one hacker in it, and in some cases I've had 2 or 3. And it's like, what's the point? and like what's being done about this, because this is starting to become a bit of a major problem. The fact that there's so many hackers and so many like games that are effectively being ruined. I have heard that these people are getting banned, but I just don't see it, if I'm being honest. I haven't seen people getting banned or whatever. But yeah, the hackers are definitely a problem. I really hope that the devs can find some like way to deal with like anti-hacks and stuff and things like that, because that will definitely make the game a little bit more fun for everyone again. But yeah, next issue I kind of see is the 4-player lobby system. Now, look, I'm not really a fan of the 4-player lobby, for the simple reason that this game was kind of marketed by throwing a bunch of beta keys at a whole bunch of streamers, including myself. I had access to it. I never actually played it at the time. But like, for streamers, like, a 4-player lobby kind of sucks, right? My average is anywhere between sort of 10 and 15 viewers a stream, and if a bunch of them have Fall Guys, I can only play with a couple of them, right? So it kind of feels like I'm having to pick and choose my own crowd just to play with me, and I'm not really a fan of that. I'd like to open up the lobbies more, especially as the maximum in a single lobby is 60. I don't think it's that far-fetched to go 10-player lobbies, personally. Other people have kind of sort of suggested otherwise. I don't mind 4-player lobby if this was like a mobile game, but this is not a mobile game, so I don't think it is a huge deal to me. I don't see a reason why they can't have bigger lobbies and make it better for streamers as well as the casual player. But having said all that though, Season 2 is coming. So recently Fall Guys released a trailer over on their Twitter actually talking about a Season 2. They showed us a preview of some new gameplay, some new game modes, some that look like possible revisions for the original game modes. It looks like there's a new Egg Scramble, looks like there's possibly a new DoorDash / Gate Crash, one of those two, stuff like that, as well as some new race courses, which looks like a way better 4 Mountain. So like, there's a lot coming, and I hope that these are added into the pool, not replacing things in the pool, because something I would like to see with the game modes is a lot more variety of them. Like, I seem to see certain game modes all the time, in comparison to some others. Like, I've only had a Jump Club final, I think, twice, compared to 4 Mountain and everything else, like, way more often. Hexagon I've had way too often, and stuff like that. So, I'm hoping Season 2 brings some real cool stuff. I don't know when the release date is. I believe it's still currently under development, so we don't have a lot of information on that. But it's interesting to know. It's definitely good to know, but I'm really hoping there's a lot of fixes and stuff in the game for Fall Guys. But let's move on to its contender, and that will be Among Us. Let's have a look. So, Among Us is a game that I have played pretty extensively with a lot of friends of mine. I actually also streamed this game myself in a couple of instances, not only just for myself but also for Nerdo Game Night. But one thing that's worth noting is Among Us only costs $5, which honestly, for a point of entry, that's pretty compelling for a lot of players. Like, the game is pretty cheap, pretty easy to get hold of, so I don't think it's a problem. Also free on mobile, which is actually something to say about it. It's not a main point on this list because I don't really factor the other side, but you can actually play crossplay with mobile and PC, so that's kind of a nice little feature they have going for them. And for a $5 price tag, this game is actually not that bad at all. It's a really fun concept. I generally really like the idea of deception. I've played a lot of deception-based games in the past, like Mafia and Werewolf and Town of Salem. Used to be on staff at Town of Salem, believe it or not. Haven't been for the last sort of 5 years, though. But yeah, I like this kind of game. So for those of you who haven't played the game or whatever and you've kind of missed it, Among Us is a deception-based game where you're effectively a crew of, well, I'll say astronauts. I'm not entirely sure if that's what you would entirely call them, but there's basically a whole group of crewmates, and then alongside that there's a couple of imposters. The imposters' job's to try and kill the crewmates, while the crewmates' job's to find out who the imposters are. So Pretty simple concept game. You're running around a lot, you're moving around, completing different tasks, maintaining the ship and stuff. So it's a pretty simple concept. Really, really fun little concept. Very simple, very easy to get to grips with. Not too difficult to work with. Something that is nice to say about it is it has 10-player lobbies, which is something I had a gripe with Fall Guys. 10-player lobbies are actually really, really nice, especially for games like this, because if you're streaming, generally speaking, especially if you're kind of my viewership, you can fill the lobby pretty quickly. You may get a couple of randoms in, whatever, but like 10-player lobbies generally are really good for streamers because it's very easy to get hold of 10 people essentially. Plus, this game's being very popular on Twitch. I've seen a lot of people come follow me on my Thursday stream to play some more Among Us with me, which I'm looking forward to next Thursday for that now, so that's going to be cool. Definitely interested in that. But yeah, for 10-player lobbies, I think that's a good thing. I'm really happy that they have it. Next thing to talk about is actually they support multiple languages, which is very nice because there is an active chat. So there's a lot of servers that are specific ones. I think there's a Spanish one, a German one. I think I've seen an Italian one maybe. And there is an Asian one, but I don't know what language it is. Maybe Korean, not entirely sure. It is missing a Filipino server. Somehow this game has taken off in the Philippines. I've had a few recent incidents where I've had a lot of people speaking Filipino in my games, and it makes it very difficult for people to understand what's going on and stuff like that. So I'd like to see that support get added in eventually. I'm sure that's probably being looked at as we speak. The other thing to point out with the servers is they are a little bit shaky. Sometimes it can be quite hard to join into lobbies and stuff. Even if you know the code, sometimes the game says it's not the right code, or it can't log you in because its server's disconnecting or whatever. There's a lot of weird random errors that I really hope the devs can fix, because it seems odd that it keeps happening. Not really a fan of that personally. But yeah, generally speaking, once you actually get into play the game, the servers are fine. I don't think it's a bad thing in the world. It's just a nightmare actually making a lobby sometimes. Alright. The next thing I want to talk about is probably one of my biggest criticisms is actually the microtransactions. So, unlike Fall Guys that has their own currency, which they do, Among Us doesn't, but they do have cosmetic items that you can buy, like pets and stuff like that. However, they are individually priced way too high. They're like $3 per pet. Or per cosmetic. Now, while it is purely cosmetic, so it's entirely optional, I kind of feel like I would like to have earned it by playing a lot, because I've played the game a fair old chunk, and I've not really gained any kind of outcome other than like win or loss from playing the game. But other than that, it's a good laugh nonetheless either way. So I'd like to see some kind of editing towards the microtransactions, maybe put a currency in. Maybe actually lower the cost of the pets especially, because some of them are way too overpriced in my opinion. But saying that though, the cosmetics that I actually like, I got a full officer's uniform at the start of the game for free, so obviously I run around as Officer Mike Crutch. Don't care, it's a good laugh, I'm all game for that. So definitely worth it, a lot of fun. Microtransactions always good, so I'm looking forward to seeing if they develop better ones. Hopefully that happens, but we'll have to see. And the last thing I want to talk about is the kind of lack of variety. I kind of mentioned it before, but there's only 3 different maps so far in the game. A lot of them have very similar tasks, and there are some individual unique tasks to each map. But there's not a huge amount of variety in the game, so the game might get a little repetitive, depending on who you are and how good a night you're having and stuff like that. But generally speaking, as I play this game a lot with my friends, I don't really have a problem with the somewhat lack of variety. I have a good laugh with my friends regardless. We can play this game for hours and not get bored, so not really a huge deal to me. Something that I haven't seen a lot of yet is any like updates on development for this game. I certainly haven't seen like a release trailer or anything like that of like Among Us updates or whatever. Maybe they're a little bit more on the down low in terms of that, but it's an interesting thing to think about nonetheless, because we've got the same system for a little while. So, alright, let's go back to the start, and let's have a think. So, alright, so we've got the two games side by side right now, and I'm gonna give you guys my opinion on which game I prefer right now of these two games, two very popular games, but I will give you a caveat afterwards. But my preferred game right now is Among Us. Now, Among Us to me is more of my kind of playstyle. Like, I find Fall Guys a little bit ragey and stuff like that because I don't like certain maps too much and I get frustrated when I constantly get them. However, if Season 2 turns out to be as good as the Fall Guys devs are hoping it to be, Fall Guys is going to take over as the better game. Now, when it comes to that being in the right mindset, it's very difficult to know. Both of these games are slightly different. So in all honesty, whichever game you like the most, enjoy them, whatever. Play whatever games you want, but I don't know if I will stream Fall Guys, but I'm more than comfortable streaming Among Us. I think Among Us is definitely streamable at this point, but yeah. Obviously, that is my opinion. Let me know which game you prefer down in the comments below. I'm definitely excited to hear you. But either way, guys, my name is Robomi Teacher. Stay safe, stay awesome, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.